welcome back to Sansa's Ponies. So I just got this in the mail. If you have not seen online already, Hasbro has decided to get into the retro market. So for the San Diego Comic Con, they released an exclusive that had the more traditional G4 Twilight, and then on the other side it had a G1 Twilight character, but done in this style, which is reminiscent of previous generations, either G1 or G3, depending on how you look at it. So this is, as far as we can tell, an Amazon exclusive, and I pre-ordered it, so it just arrived on my doorstep today. So we're going to take a look at this and compare it to some of the previous generations and the current generation. So right away you can tell they're using the retro art. This is not redone vintage art, which you can even see with my tablecloth here. Looks a little different from the retro stuff that they came out with several years ago and that they've been using frequently. We do have the traditional G1 logo, and it says Retro Rainbow Main 6 is the title of this set. And you can see maybe even now that even though this is the main 6, they have adjusted their symbols or cutie marks to more reflect the aesthetic of G1. And let's take a real quick look at the rest of the box. So we have some of the characters on this side, and hello, the other characters on this side, and then it has more artwork of them on the back. And this part right here says the main 6 travel back to the 80s, and it says it in several different languages. Here it has My Little Pony, established 83. Interestingly, it has a very odd colored symbol is Tootsie, but the coloring is not Tootsie, so that's a very interesting choice. Alright, so let's just go ahead and open this up. Alright, so here they are out of the package. So, hello, Sestra. So first thing I will say is they are hard plastic. They are not squishy like G1 are, and I didn't really expect that at this point, especially at this size. The hair, they had it in the package the way they often do, with it being tied in a little strip in the back. But I don't even know why they bothered, because the strips pulled right out without me trying to tear them apart. The hair is actually nicer quality. It's very straight. It hasn't been styled at all, but it feels nice. It feels like nice hair. There's just not a whole lot of it because of the size of the pony, and it hasn't been styled in any way. It just sticks straight out. I'm sure you could style it though. So I have been kind of up in the air about what I would think about these. I think what bothers me most is the head and neckline. But I'm wondering if you style the hair across the neck, that would bother me less. It would bother me a lot less. I'll also point out that they only have the symbol on one side. That is unfortunate. I don't know why they continue to do that. And the Pegasus pose looks like it's kind of like it's very much like the rearing pose in G1, where they can stand up, but it's not going to be very stable. They'll want to fall over. But it actually is fairly stable. You just can't shake the table at all. So let's look at these individually because I have a bunch of ponies to compare these to. So let's start with Twilight. I tried to get the G1, the G3, and the G4 to compare these two, but I didn't always have the corresponding character. Okay, so here is G1 Twilight, vintage. Hello, move back. Oops. And with this Twilight, you can see that her symbol has been moved to more closely look like vintage G1 Twilight. I'm going to have to do something with the hair to display mine. So there she is in comparison. But then also, here's, I don't have Twilight Twinkle. But I do have this G3, so comparison between G1, G3, and these retro, Hasbro retro versions. And then I also have older Twilight G4 and the newer version for comparison purposes. Now, I will say a lot of people will probably be a little miffed. They seem to have actually gotten Twilight's color a lot closer to her cartoon counterpart on the retro version than on all of the other regular issues of Twilight. She's far more lilac and less pinky purple than these. So that was Twilight in comparison. So let's do Fluttershy next. So it's generally known that Fluttershy was, at least her personality was based on posy and maybe coloring, but I can't help it. I always have to show dancing butterflies because when I first saw Fluttershy, I immediately thought of dancing butterflies. This one's one of my childhood ponies, one of my favorites, and I think you could probably see why I would have thought that. So there she is. And then I do also have G3 Fluttershy. And here is G4 Fluttershy. So the retro release definitely is paler than her more traditional G4 toy. A much paler yellow. And again, her symbol hasn't changed a whole lot, but part of that may be because of the wing. She has 3 pink butterflies here. This one has 4. But her wing covers up, so it's possible that you could think that she had 5. I don't know. So, but they actually, other than just having more number, they look pretty similar, other than the more pastel color. Okay. So, who to do next? Hey, Farley. Farley's going to join us. And there goes Sestra. So here's Rarity. So I have the 2 G1s. Rarity is generally considered to be modeled after. Some of my older ponies are a little dusty. So we have Glory, who is also one of my childhood ponies, and Sparkler. I'm just noticing some of the differences between the eyes. I don't know if y'all can see. the eye difference here. Retro has much longer eyelashes. Well, and of course her eye isn't sculpted in the same way that the G1 is. Also, her white dot looks like the eyelid is over it, so it has that line there, whereas the white dot on this one is much smaller and it's just a white circle. Here is G3 Rarity. G3 also started the only symbol on only one side. G3 Rarity. And more traditional G4 Rarity. So these really are about the same height as G4. It's just their heads are a different shape, but they're very close to the same height. Okay, so let's do Rainbow Dash. There's Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash in comparison to Firefly. And I do not have the G3 Rainbow Dash, but in case you're curious, here is a G3 Pegasus for comparison. And here is G4 Rainbow Dash. I don't have a whole lot of the new mold, G4.5 or whatever you want to call it. I don't have a whole lot of those. I got to the point where I had too many of the same characters and I refused to buy more of the same character unless it's significantly different, but preferably new characters. I would consider this significantly different, the retro ones, because they're just clearly Hasbro's trying to get in on the retro thing that's going on, but at the same time Basic Fun is using the actual G1 molds, so I'm not sure. I guess this is Hasbro's way of trying to keep the same size and okay, so that only leaves the two Earth ponies. So here is Pinkie Pie, and this is Surprise. And I actually do not have a G3 Pinkie Pie, but I brought Shenanigans because I love Shenanigans, and she is an awesome pony, just for fun. And here is regular G4 Pinkie Pie. So in general, it does look like the retro G4s are going for a more pastel color scheme, with the exception of Rainbow Dash and maybe Rarity. So I just keep piling up ponies over here. So that leaves only Applejack. So retro Applejack is actually much brighter than, or I should say vintage Applejack is much brighter and darker than retro Applejack. But the symbols are correct, same number and pattern, but more red, whereas hers are a little more orange. I do not have G3 Applejack, but I do have, I believe this is Golden Delicious, so we'll just add her in there. And here is G4 Applejack. She does not have freckles. but neither does the G4 toy have freckles, at least not this one. G1 Applejack has freckles. Alright, so here we are with the retro, Hasbro's retro main 6. And they're very interesting. Again, I'm going to style them, and I feel like with their hair displayed across their neck, the neck thing will bother me less. Just to give y'all more of an example, this one is actually not too bad. Let's try, maybe it bothers me more on this one. It looks more like she has more of a human-like head where it's bigger than her neck, whereas a horse's neck kind of flows seamlessly into their head. She has a little bit more of a cheek that sticks out right there than this one does, or maybe it's more that her cheek is a little more forward. But that's just the one thing that I think is throwing me off personally. I know some people would have preferred the face be more sculpted. But they're interesting. They're definitely interesting. Having the hair across the neck will most definitely help, in my opinion. As I said, the hair is feels nice. There's just not a great deal of it, and it's very straight. It hasn't been styled in any way. I'll have to wash these and style them. So it'll be interesting to see if this is just a one-off thing, or are they going to make more of these? I might be more tempted if they make new characters, like just new toys that are just nice color combinations, nice theming. Doesn't have to do with the show necessarily, but just new characters. That would get me far more excited. But as it is, these are pretty cool. What I may do is style them and put them back in the box for display with their hair across their neck. We'll see. So tell me down in the comments, what do you think of these? Will you get them? Do you hope that any more ponies come out like this, in this mold, or this style? What do you think of the choice to use the main 6 as opposed to actual G1 characters? Do you like the way they did change the style of the main 6 a little bit to look like they are a little more of the original G1 aesthetic with the different hue marks and the coloring? So yeah, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear what y'all think. And hopefully I will get my hands on the Basic Fun Starflower and Pinwheel. Have started showing up in some Targets. So I'm sure that eventually my Target will get them. When they do, I will certainly do a video. I also have some other videos planned if I can get around to them. So when I do, I'll be back with y'all, so don't worry. So y'all have a great day, and subscribe if you haven't, and leave a comment down in the comments. So bye!